Hey guys, SickMotion here with the patch 6.13 notes opinions. Couple interesting changes in this patch actually, with experience that have been kind of the way they've been for multiple seasons, and they're finally getting switched around. One of them definitely new. The other one, I'll kind of spoiler it right now. Getting experience from a kill or just being near a kill after you've died. So getting experience while dead was a thing that's, I don't know. I'm excited for it. Been a long time coming. So I'll explain that more when we get to it. But anyway, first champion here, Blitzcrank. Bit of a weird change with his pull. Now pulls enemies 75 units in front of Blitzcrank rather than directly on top of them. So if you're standing on someone, there's a chance that if they're within those 75 units, you're just going to shoot the hook over them. But in a lot of cases, if you're standing on like a minion wave of theirs and you shoot the hook, then it would hit the minion right underneath you. So I've heard a lot of Blitzcranks complaining about it. I can see how it would be helpful, but either way you want to look at it. Power Fist, the duration that it's active for 10 seconds to 5 seconds, Power Fist and powered basic attacks can no longer be canceled. I'm assuming that means canceled by, I'm not sure if it means auto attack canceling or someone else canceling it, like with a stun or something. If that's not cancelable by CCing them, that's actually a pretty big change. I haven't tried it though. And his ultimate got nerfed for most of the game and then buffed it later on. It is now 60, 40, 20-second active cooldown from 30 seconds at all levels, and it no longer hits monsters while Blitzcrank's out of combat. So this is the active version of it when you pop it so that it does the damage, the big burst. But it also has the persistent passive effect that things around you it'll just randomly shock them. If you have MOBAs on Blitzcrank and you're running past the jungle camp and you shock it, it will put you in combat and you'll lose that speed, which is super annoying. Lulu got buffed. I don't have fun playing Lulu, don't have fun playing against Lulu. This is an unfun change for me. Way higher base mana, way higher base movement speed. Glitter Lance now is a 2-second slow at all ranks. It does 70% damage against targets hit beyond the first, so it doesn't do full damage for like the whole everything hit, but it's a 2-second slow at level 1. That's going to be pretty ridiculous, both for supporting and for lane Lulu. You're going to get a lot of extra autos in because they're slowed for an extra second. Super annoying, and then here's a huge buff for it. You normally are going to be leveling your W last. I mean, support Lulu might change it now, but you get 15 and then 5 per level up to 35% attack speed for the duration of the Whimsy. So that's a huge steroid for certain champions, and even for herself if it's a solo Lulu. Tom also got changed here. His basic abilities now deal 1.25, and 1.5% of his maximum health as bonus magic damage at levels 1, 11, and 16. So before you wouldn't get the bonus health damage on your autos until you hit level 6. Now you get it right at level 1, and then it upgrades itself at level 11 and 16. The bonus health, or sorry, the health damage used to be bonus health, and it used to be higher. I think it might have been like 246 or something. I don't know. The numbers, the percentages were higher, but that was bonus health. Now it scales off max health, so even your base health will apply in here, and it stacks up to 3 times versus champions. So it's going to be 3%, I think 3 3/4, and then 4.5%. 4.5% if you've hit them for the 3 times versus I think it was 6% before. That one of them seems higher than the other, but once again, base or bonus health versus base and bonus health, so maximum. So I'm pretty sure it's going to make you feel like you're doing more damage. His Q got just damage increase, 5 per level, starting at level 2, so 20 more at level 5. His E, the shield, now it no longer heals you for, or returns 100% of your damage taken into the shield. It now is 70, scales with level up to 90. The gray health healing conversion is higher now as well, so he has a little bit more sustain out of that. The shield duration is 3 seconds now instead of 6, but it no longer decays over the duration. It also is a much shorter cooldown, so you're going to be able to use it a lot more often. It's not going to be, oh, I'll take damage here, use the shield. Might as well wait until I can get the shield as big as possible because it's such a long cooldown. Now you can use the shield in smaller amounts to block a little bit of damage here and there, rather than dedicating all of your gray health to a shield by waiting and then not having a chance to heal up any of it. So, bit of a different way you're going to be wanting to play it, but here it is, 2, 4, and 6. All right, yeah, I was right. The channel duration on his ult, the time that someone can jump in, is now 6 seconds instead of 15. The cast delay is now instead of 1 second, it's a quarter second, so it's a lot more usable. Tom's ult honestly was not very surprising at all. The enemy warning time is also half a second shorter, and the range has been increased by 500 at every level. So he's just gotten quite a few buffs. I've actually played against a few Tom Kenches lately. He's not a fun champion to lane against, so just like the Lulu change, not too excited about that one. Thresh got some changes here. His Dark Passage now no longer has an AP ratio, but it gains 1 shield point per soul collected, which I think is really cool. And some kind of mechanics playability things here that I'm not going to go overly into. Zyra got some nerfs. Zyra's just been really strong, doing tons of damage, so it's nice that she's a little bit less damage and a little bit higher cooldowns. Apparently, Chrono Shift is supposed to apply Ardent Sensor as attack speed buff, and it wasn't, but now it does, so fantastic. In case you ever found that interaction not working for you, now it will. Gnar gains bonus range as he levels up in his mini form. It now goes up to 500 rather than 485 at max level. The boomerang throw return distance is increased by 500. If you get enough movement speed or you bounce far enough and then run away far enough, a lot of the times, probably has something to do with Gnar's taking Ghost, I'm assuming it's being seen more. You could outrun your boomerang even if you were in line with it. You wouldn't catch it and you wouldn't get the cooldown on it, so now it just comes back farther, so there's a better chance that if you're running really fast in one direction that it'll still be traveling to you before it times out. Also, his W, which does the percentage health, got 5 extra base damage, not percentages, just base damage per level, but not going up. So it's just 5 damage at any level more on the base. So yeah, Gnar's not been in the greatest place lately. I don't know if those are going to make much of a difference, those changes. One of the reasons why is a lot of the fighters with Trinity Force get the power spike, go in burst whenever they want, like Irelia right here, are really strong right now, so Gnar's not in the most fun spot. You'd think he would have been better in the tankier meta, but yeah, Gnar's just not in the greatest spot. Irelia got a massive nerf on her ult as far as the numbers. 40-second higher cooldown at level 1, 25 at 2, and 10 at 3. But you got to keep in mind, she's still probably rushing the Trinity Force in every situation, which gives you 10% more cooldown reduction than it did before. So, even with that cooldown reduction, considered the ult's still a lot longer at level 6. But she's still very strong. You just got to be a little bit more. I think like the trade-off is like a lot of times I use the ult to push, to set up a wave to push it back and then have it up again quickly. Might not be using the ult just to carelessly farm as much anymore. Just saving it for fights since it's a longer cooldown then, but then it gets more reasonable and usable later on in the game. Jarvan's base shield is now lower the base, but the bonus shield per enemy has gone up at every level. It's got a bit of a buff, but at level 5 of his W, it is 100 extra shielding per champion hit instead of 60, and it has a bigger radius, so there's a better chance that you're going to hit the champions. But with the base shield and then the bonus per champion, if you hit the 5-man dank shield, you're going to get a 670 shield on Jarvan. That's pretty big. Pretty big shield. Kindred, more nerfs to Kindred. Base armor, 20 instead of 27. That's a pretty low base armor, especially for a jungler. The armor growth stat is higher, though, so you kind of get it back. Her W no longer heals, but it's been kind of repositioned to still help her in the jungle, but mainly be aimed for jungle. You'll now maim Wolf maims jungle monsters, reducing their attack speed and movement speed by 50% for 2 seconds. So you're just going to take less damage and be able to kite stuff around easier, and they're not going to attack as fast when they catch up to you, and they're going to have a hard time catching up to you. But you don't get the crazy sustain if you get into a fight. Then you just go and shoot a few things, or even in lane or fighting and dueling people, you don't get that extra healing anymore. So it's more just to it kind of balances out how much she got nerfed to just make her still an effective jungle champion, but feel like you can actually still duel her and kill her early on in the game where she feels really strong right now. Swain's cooldown on his ult has been increased by 10 seconds, and initial lockout on recasp has been increased by a second and a half. So you'll have more windows of opportunity. Oh, excuse me. You'll know when you can kind of go in on him, and it's not going to feel like if right when he turns off his ult is generally where you want to go in on him. Because he can't turn it back on as quick, and now it's going to be even slower to turn it back on, so you'll have more windows while it's not on, basically. There's some bug fixes with Syndra, fix the bug, and some more just usability things, checking for orbs better. Mainly just bug fixes for more than anything there, though. Trundle's base health regen is down by 3.4 per 5. That's actually quite a large amount of a nerf on a base health regen, but he still has tons of sustain from his passive anyway. Twitch fixed the bug where ambush stealthily would instantly complete if Twitch killed an enemy champion. I don't play any Twitch, so I didn't realize that, but there's a bug, then it was fixed. All right, here's Vlad. Really confusing here. I'm gonna say the way I looked at it, and I'm assuming that it's done. It's just really confusing the way they worded this and placed it. One ability power per 25 bonus health, per 40 bonus health. So basically, you need more bonus health to get that one ability power, so that you're not just getting AP for stacking ridiculous amounts of health and getting a lot of extra AP out of it. And now it looks like they're trying to reward you for getting AP now, so you're getting 1.4 health per one ability power instead of just one. That's what I'm getting out of it. I've looked at it a bunch of times, still unsure. Just worded really terribly. Basically, they're trying to nerf just building defensive items and getting damage out of it. So that's how I'm assuming it's going. Also, following that trend, AP ratio up on his Q, but base damage down. Okay. Volley, the damage on his W is down at early levels, and the attack speed as well per stack is down at early levels, but it returns back to the previous values at max level. So just a little bit of an early game nerf there. Bouncing Bomb will now consistently explode near larger targets more with Ziggs. Okay. Dynamically created terrain attempts to preserve your pathing commands. So with the addition of Talia, I guess, and a bunch of other champions like Trundle and Ivia that build your own adventure map champions, making it easier when those things get placed down when you've already chosen a path. It'll figure out your path better, apparently. Here's some ARAM changes, blah, blah, blah. Ancient Coinline is kind of cool. It now has 5% cooldown reduction, only at early levels, then it goes up to 10, so you don't have to worry about taking 5% runes type thing before you used to get the 5% of your masteries. Just a little bit of early cooldown reduction for starting with it, as well as later on, it builds out of a Raptors Cloak, the Talisman, so it has bonus movement speed all the time now, and still gives you that active movement speed. And since it builds out of a Raptors Cloak, that means it's going to be giving you 45 armor. Costs a little bit more, but overall, I think that's a lot more usable. I think that's pretty cool to have that, because I like the Raptors Cloak interaction on some champions. It's actually pretty helpful in certain situations. So I might be building that on certain like initiation champions as well, that I would be building a Raptor Cloak on early just for the movement speed maybe, but we'll see. Relic Shield, the execute damage, or the amount of health that you can execute the minion from, now scales with your level. The trippy passive is no longer put on cooldown by killing enemy plants like a Zyra, or enemy pets like a Zyra plant. So if you're a support killing a Zyra plant, you're not going to be punished for it now. Forbidden Idol now is 300 more gold, but it gives 10% more bonus shielding and healing power. Any item that built out of has that same effect, except it's 15 now. Costs a little bit more for both of them since it has that bonus effect. But that's kind of cool interaction. It'll be strong on any shieldy, healy champions. And Ruby Sightstone's kind of just been replaced by the Sightstone Hybrid items. Now instead of having a 10% active cooldown reduction, it's a 20%. A lot more helpful, a lot more usable. And the total cost has actually gone down 200. So pretty big buffs to this. No one, sorry, I didn't scroll down far enough. No one was really building or using it. So that makes sense that they would want to buff that. Proto Belt here. The dash now disables spell cache and other channels for the duration. Sounds kind of weird if you read the context there. Basically, it was causing abilities that you would think you would have pushed in the Proto Belt, but it was the active where they can't use the abilities. It would queue them up for the end, and then all your abilities would try to go off at once, and only one of them would end up going off, and it's the last one that you pressed. So it just made for awkward situations. This is going to make it feel a little bit more usable, so you don't get that I pushed the button, and yes, you did push the button, but it didn't count because you were in the middle of an animation already, type deals. Here's a big change. Wards now give experience. Killing a ward gives you experience. Attacking wards no longer trigger combat, so boots of mobility and stuff won't proc. But yeah, killing a ward gives you 30 experience when killed, or 15 for the blue wards that you just one hit. Nice way for supports that are roaming and actually working on vision control to get a bit of experience. Also, if you're like a laner and you get like a ward kill here and there, you might be able to like cheese certain level advantages and level breakpoints just because you got an extra little bit of money from your ward kill. So buying a pink ward's not going to feel as bad anymore because you're going to get extra little bit of experience advantage if you end up killing wards with it. Global experience, something or other, catch-up experience. Basically, it's a little bit more accurate. It doesn't count just full levels. It'll count like partial ways through a level for how much catch-up experience you're rewarded. We're just going to skip over that because this is the important thing here. Post-death kill experience. Champions now continue to gain experience from nearby champion kills for 10 seconds after death, even if they didn't participate. So if you get turret dove, die, the person gets executed by your body, you get experience for that. You'd get turret dove, die, but you managed to trade with them and get the kill, you'd experience for that. In those situations before, unless you were someone like Sion who has like an after effect after dying, that they come back to life and they still get experience because they're still interacting with the game. Before that, say you're level 3, your opponent's level 3, they turret dive you, they kill you, they die, they get level 4 off of it, you come back to lane and you're still level 3 because you got no experience even though you got the kill because you were dead. So now that's going to feel a lot less bad. I'm going to probably see that happening and feeling that change a lot. I think that's been a lot of seasons coming for that change. That's the change I was talking about at the beginning of the patch notes. Champion kills reward less experience at early levels, returning to pre 6.13 values around level 9. All right, and then I'll read the context in here just in case it confuses people. Given how small low-level experience requirements are, early kills are super rewarding. A single victory can fast-track progression up to half a level. As it so happens, early deaths are also super punishing early on. Minion waves grant more experience than kills, and dead people miss out on a lot. That means teams double dip in the rewards bowl, creating advantages 2 to 3 times larger than you'd expect, and lanes shouldn't be decided by a single kill, so we're toning these advantages down. Basically, a lot less snowballing, because if you think about it, your opponent's already getting the kill experience, and then you're missing all the minion experience, so you're behind and they're ahead. So two things going in opposite directions makes a pretty big gap. And here's another really, really big change for top lane. Teleport's channel duration has been increased by a second, and now it's 4.5 seconds rather than 3.5 seconds. It honestly feels like an eternity for your teleport to get there now, so there's a lot less surprising to it. Teleport visuals are now always visible even through Fog of War if you have vision within 500 units of the target location. Teleporting now issues a single on my way ping, or a soundless, sorry, on my way ping to the location for your team. And the teleport will drop its caster no longer at a random location, but it'll be closest to the caster's nexus. So if you teleport to a tower, you'll always end up behind the tower. So some consistency on that. But overall, I definitely feel the teleport nerfs there. I feel that teleport's still quite necessary top lane. A lot of the times if you have an opponent who has an aggressive summoner, they kill you. But they're not able to push the wave up in time because you have a teleport, and they have to go back and then walk back in the lane. You teleport back in the lane, you freeze it in front of your tower, they come back to lane, they're level 3, you're level 4.5, even though you died for first blood, and you have a gigantic lane advantage just because you were able to get back with your teleport. A lot of situations like that, so it's also like a early game insurance. If you get ganked or something, you're not like super far behind. You can teleport back in before the minions all die to your tower with the early death timers. I still think teleport's going to be pretty important. Dragons no longer play level up or visual audio effects. So, oh, and Dragon's Rift Herald now wait to level up until they've been out of combat for 30 seconds. It's definitely seen some dragons that get like smited right as it's leveling up, and then that doesn't go to the smiter. It's funny to see. Ba ba ba. Also, there is now ranked emblems depending on how often you play. You have to win 25 games since the start of when they started tracking this quite recently. And then you get an emblem. A solo emblem means that you play most of your games. I'm not sure what the exact percentage is. Solo. A dynamic emblem shows that you play most of your games dynamic. I've heard a lot of people calling it the mark of shame, that basically you win your solo queue games by playing with your friends and getting teaming up in solo queue. I like that term, the mark of shame. I wish there was some type of way to play solo queue, so I think it's funny that they did this. And then there's also a one for if you are in a level of play that you're allowed to queue up with a full team, then you'll get that icon if that's where most of your wins are from. Most of the ladder and most of like the higher rated players have already got there, doing dynamic queue, a lot of them, but it only counts if you've played 25 wins since that change. So you could get up. The flaw with this system is that you could play, say, 300 games all dynamic queued, get to like a really high rating. You could be like a, say, a low platinum player who plays 300 dynamic queue games, gets to high diamond, and then plays a bunch of games in high diamond until you have 25 wins. Probably got a bunch of losses with it, but you're maybe the same rating. Hopefully, if you did all right. And now it shows that you're a solo player. You have the solo emblem, and you must have gotten there by yourself without ever dynamic queuing, right? Wrong. So I think it's a step in the right direction, but I also think it's very deceptive with that. Ranked tier restrictions have been lowered or eased up a little bit, so you in higher levels of play, so you can kind of queue up or down one division more. Scheduled ranked fives, I think this is a kind of a cool idea. Rather than they're bringing back rank fives because a lot of people have been complaining about it, but rather than having rank fives active all the time, they're only having it active during certain times of the day. It'll suck for people that can't play during that time zone or whatnot, but it will make it so the purpose of playing rank fives is to play against another team of five, and it was hard to find another team of five a lot of the time. If you're playing at different times when people weren't there, it would expand, and then the games would be uneven because you'd be playing teams that were not really closely rated, but they're only playing against each other because they're the only teams playing. Having scheduled rank fives where the queue is only active at certain times means that everyone has to play within those windows, so it's more likely that more people will be playing and be able to find better matches in that time. So I think that's pretty cool that they did that. I think that's a smart change. Oh, and for servers with rank 3s enabled on Twisted Treeline, the play window will now match the schedule for rank 5s. So you can no longer do the 3 a.m. queue squad type. I'm going to play rank 3s when no one else is playing and try and cheese Challenger with it. I mean, a lot of people still choose Challenger in 3s anyway. Um, let's see here. Some friendless stuff that I'm not going to really go through, and some bug fixes that I'm not going to really go through, and some new skins. So there's all of that. Thank you for watching, guys. I realized a couple times throughout the thing, I have my recording software kind of zoomed in awkwardly. So what I'm looking at a lot of the times, I might have been talking about stuff that hasn't quite been scrolled to yet. So it might have been a little hard to follow. I think I did that last time too. I apologize for that. I just kind of noticed it this time. So I caught myself doing it a few times. I might not have caught everyone. So if that was happening, I'm going to keep that in mind for next time and try and make sure that doesn't happen. So I do apologize if that was happening at all here. But anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully you found that helpful, or this helpful, despite the getting lost because of my camera control. Make sure to like the video if you found it helpful. Sub to the channel if you haven't already and want to see more content like this. And my social media, all underneath in the description as well. As always, take it easy. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.